Welcome, bienvenidos. Today we're going to talk about Tosha Mercado, somebody that creates content on TikTok and decided to go on her little manifestation about the fact that food stamps are going to be cut off in November and people are not going to have food. Let me backtrack a little bit. For those of you who don't know or don't live in the United States, we are in the middle of a government shutdown. And what that means is that any monies that come from the government are not going to come to those who earn them or have them. Now, that means that people that have any kind of benefits are not, like, if you are retired and you get benefits, if you have any kind of disability, or if you're on food stamps, and I believe Section 8 too, you're not going to get paid in November. Now, when the shutdown ends, they're definitely going to give you back pay, they say. But we don't know, and that's not the point. The point is people are not having a good time right now because food is very expensive in the United States. Like I always tell people, they've been trying to recover the losses from 2020 the entire time. And so every time something happens, let's hike up the prices even more so we can recover our losses. Screw the people that are needing to eat and whatnot. But that's not all. Because you see, I have personal experience with food stamps because there was a time in my life when I needed food stamps. And there's 3 of us in this house. And I can tell you that every month, without fail, even with the nice amount of food stamps we got, we were still $100 short or $120 short every freaking month. See, food stamps is not supposed to cover all your expenses. It's just supposed to help you be able to feed your family, which clearly Miss Mercado doesn't understand. Now, let's continue to add to this situation. There are people that have been furloughed since this government started because they lost their jobs. They were working for the federal government and their jobs were cut or whatever. There are entire companies that, because of tariffs and other bullcrap excuses, are letting their employees go. So you have a lot of people right now, both on the left and on the right, whose income has been cut in some way. And this woman stands on the God's internet to talk about how she don't care, let them starve, and that way they release resources for people who need it. I would like to remind you that at this particular moment in time, the President of the United States is doing a renovation in the White House that is costing $250 million, I believe, while the people are not getting their food stamps. I don't care if you're on the left or on the right. That is ridiculous. It's very not Christian. It's screaming not Christian. But we're not going to talk about the government. We're going to talk about Tosha Mercado. Because yes, her name is Mercado in Spanish, meaning that she's either married to a Latino or she is Latino. I don't know what is more embarrassing, that she is so dumb or that she's Latino. But let's take it from the top, okay? She started the video by asking people, and I'm not going to get into the whole video. You can go watch it on TikTok if you want to. I'm not even going to send you there because Anyway, she starts out by saying, what did you do? Well, you know, you don't have money for November. What you do with the money for October? Bitch, they ate. They had to eat food. Or do you think that food pays itself, and so if they give you $200 for food stamps, you can make that last for 2 months? That's why they give you every month, you dummy. But let's take it a step further. You said something to the effect of, did you fill your pantry or did you buy processed foods? What exactly do you think things in the pantry are? You cannot put fresh fruits and vegetables in the pantry. Those either stay on stable shelf, like outside so the air can breathe, or they go in the fridge, because if not, they go bad. So you're telling them, did they get a processed food or processed food? Is that what you're saying? Because your dumb brain doesn't comprehend. You see, when a family of 4 buys a lasagna that costs $15 in the store, they probably make that last for 2 meals each. It's cheaper than to buy all the ingredients to make a lasagna at home, number one. And number two, what people buy with their food stamps is none of your damn business. Now, I can tell you from personal experience that not once did I buy steak or shrimp or crab meat or anything expensive. Most of the time I went for the sales, I looked for the cheapest ingredients because I needed to eat. Which, by the way, given my medical condition, was not a good idea. Because one thing that most people don't understand is that sometimes when you eat the cheapest stuff, some of the ingredients might have some leftover, in my case, gluten. They're not safe from contamination. And so I can buy something that says that it's gluten-free, but if you actually read the small print, it will tell we cannot guarantee that it was not contaminated. Depending on the company, that nowadays is a little different, and if it says gluten-free, it has to be guaranteed. But back in the days when I was taking food stamps, that didn't exist yet. So what people would do is they would tell you gluten-free because they didn't use any ingredients, but sometimes there was cross-contamination because their factory had an area where they were using things with gluten, and it can happen. But even if they are, unless it's a completely sterile environment from certain allergens, you cannot guarantee that there's no cross-contamination. But your brain is so small and you are so smug that you choose to rage bait and to create an environment where people go, this is a Christian woman. I'm going to talk to anybody with a brain and with a heart. If you know that your neighbor is having a hard time because they did not get food stamps this month, and Thanksgiving is coming, the colder months are coming, and they are having food necessities, I don't care if you grab an extra can of beans or an extra bag of rice. Even if you spend $5-6, listen, there's a place called Aldi around here. I don't know if you have Aldi where you live, but Aldi sells a lot of food in the lower price range. It's not perfect, but it's better than starving. We have to remember that there's many children that depend on school food, eating at school, in order to have the one meal a day that they might eat. We have Thanksgiving coming. That's a long weekend. That's 4 or 5 days that those kids are not going to be in school. There are many food pantries that are having a hard time keeping their pantry stuffed with food, especially at this time of the year because there's so much necessity. Add to that the added issue of the government shutdown and people not having their benefits or having their benefits cut. A lot of people are going to need food to survive. And this woman is sitting here, oh, well, if they die, who cares? Let them starve to death. I did not even finish her video because I was so angry with her ignorance that I decided, you know what, this is probably rage bait. And all I'm going to say is this. If you don't have your own computer, if you're watching this from the library or whatever, they have resources. If you know somebody that's having issues and you cannot afford to help them, but you have the ability to watch this, go and look for the resources. If you don't know where to start, leave me a message and I'll be more than happy to help you search for resources in their area. It's enough. We have decided that we all hate each other because we don't believe the same things. And I am not saying you have to either tolerate or agree with people that you morally don't agree with. What I'm saying is that if those people have children, their children did not sign up to have morons for parents. And if you are a true Christian, your duty, regardless of your political affiliation, is to make sure that those kids don't starve. And by proxy, their parents don't starve either. Because I would rather have a parent that is a dumbass than to have no parent at all. Because they got sick and died because they were malnourished or something happened to them. And I know plenty of parents that, as much as I don't agree with them morally, ethically, they believe in discriminating against people of all kinds. Those people, when it comes to their children, they will do anything for their children, just like you would. And yes, I realize I sound like a Sting song. I hope the Russians love their children too. Remember that song? If you're of Gen X, you know what I'm talking about. I understand that I sound like that. The reality is that if you are a good person, regardless of your religious or political affiliation, you should have a heart, you should have compassion and empathy, and not sit there getting rage bait because you want the views. She doesn't deserve the views. She deserves to be ignored. But I'm going to use her as an example of what not to do and how not to think about the rest of the people in America. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.